When we would hear of the death of our loved ones, our ancestors would actually tear their clothes. We now make a small little tear in a ribbon to remind us of our hearts. Even the best seamstress in the world wouldn't be able to repair the ribbon without leaving a mark. And in many ways, your hearts will always have a mark for a most remarkable, a most beautiful, a most special human being. A mom and grandmother, relative and friend who lived more than 100 years. And for that, we're grateful. For our hearts that are torn, we perform this act of Kriya. We say these words of blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dayan ha'emet. We praise you, God, ruler of the universe, the judge of truth, for it's God's judgment that we accept right now. We find comfort from the words of our tradition. Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. Death has taken our beloved Anita Ethel Taub Hyman Kaplan Cutler. That's a mouthful. Taub Hyman Kaplan Cutler, LLC, or a law firm or accounting firm, whatever you want to call it. That's just the beginning of the amazing, amazing journey of life that Anita led. She came into this world in May of 1921. She left in April of 2022. More than 100 years that she lived a full and complete life. A life that brought joy to family and friends, a life that was truly a masterpiece. A life like the pictures and painting you see up here captured the essence of a woman who loved her family, loved her tradition, loved the life that she led. And for that, we're so very grateful. We turn our thoughts to the words of our tradition. You just heard the beautiful words of Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard your soul, your going and coming, now and forever. Psalm 90 reminds us that the span of a life is 80 years and 10, or by reason of strength 80 years. The definition of the psalmist's long life is 80 years. To far exceed that, by 2 decades is remarkable. But the psalmist teaches us to number our days. We're in the period of the Omer where we are commanded to count our days, to make our days count. Your mom, your grandma, your relative, your friend, Anita knew how to make each day count. By the way she lived, by the way she loved, by the way she laughed, by the beautiful smile and lipstick on her face, the beautiful way that she greeted everyone. We extend our deepest condolences to her family, to Randy and Marc, to Kerry and Michael, to Benjamin, Norma, and Evan, to family members and friends, to those who are here in this room, to those who are live streaming, who couldn't be with us, to those who will watch this at a later date. We know and we thank you for being here to honor Anita's life and to lift us all up through this journey. No matter what faith tradition we may be from, we find comfort from the 23rd Psalm. We offer these words together on the service supplement. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake.
For his name's sake.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Mismor David, Adonai roi lo echsar, binodeh sheyarbitzeini al memenuchot yenahaleni. נפשי שובב ינחני ומגלה צדק למען שמו גם כי אלך בגצל מוות לא אירא רע כי אתה עמדי שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
Lador Vador, from generation to generation. The generations of this family have all been touched by Anita's love. It's my honor to act as the Muturgaman, to act as the translator, as the mouthpiece, to share beautiful words from Norma. A most favorite granddaughter. To know my grandma was to love my grandma. Her 3 husbands, Ben, Abe, and Herman, and long-term partner Stan would all have to agree. I will always remember her for her quick wit, care for her family and friends, fierce loyalty, inner and outer beauty, generosity. A fun fact, she led the charge as president of a nonprofit organization to raise over $1 million for cancer research. The list goes on and on and on. As the matriarch of our family, I've learned a lot from my grandma. The most important being what it feels like to be unconditionally loved. A love so strong, special, and genuine that would radiate whenever I held her hand. A love that wasn't contingent upon me being anything other than myself. I will always remember the pure joy and excitement I had as a child, racing my brother to her condo in Florida at the end of the hall on the 25th floor so that we could be the first to give Grandma a hug. Years later, I felt the same way, visiting her in Chicago. How lucky am I to have had so much time with my incredible grandma. Thanks for being you, touching the lives of so many, raising two of my favorite people, and for always loving me. Love, Norma. L'adore vador, from generation to generation. Norma, your words are so beautiful from your heart, describing the matriarch of your family. But I love your words that she raised two of your favorite people. And so, Randy, I invite you to begin to pay tribute to Mom from the bottom of your heart. Come on up.
When I think of my mother, I think of my successes. Or, when I think of my mother, I think of my failures. I think of my mother when I dream dreams of what has been and what is yet to be. I think of my mother when I see my grandchildren and realize my mother will always be an integral part of them. How she would have so much pleasure in watching them mature. I think of my mother when I buy a dress or a blouse. I think of my mother when I buy a pot roast. I think of my mother when I buy a chicken, the only lady I ever knew who could say, "Now that's a beautiful chicken." I think of my mother when the sun rises and when the sun sets. I think of her sense of values and her life goals. They have in some inexplicable way become a part of me, a part of my sister and her family, a part of my children, grandchildren, and my aunts. She made her mark on everyone. Rest, Nana. Rest, Mother, because we shall always love you and remember. As most of you have guessed by now, I did not write this. It is signed Anita, and it was written in August 1991 after her mother, our Nana, passed away. There are endless things to say about Mom. I jotted some down, and I'm going to leave most of them out. But I do want to say that for Kerry and for me, I think we had a somewhat unusual experience of knowing more of my mother's inner life than most children know of their parents. We knew a lot about her. We knew about her troubles. We knew about her triumphs. We shared her loves, as she had us love one dad after another, and a few others in addition. There were so many things that were impressive to her, but I just wanted to mention in passing 4 that I thought of that keep jumping out at me. With my dad, Ben Hyman, probably in the early 60s, or maybe a little earlier, she attended a Jewish conference of some sort, which I don't remember, and the speaker was Martin Luther King. She never stopped talking about that experience of hearing Dr. King, how it changed her, and how up till she died, she would tell you that he was the most powerful and inspiring speaker she ever heard. She also saw the musical Hair with my dad and went backstage after, and probably in their gentle way, my parents forced themselves into the mush of the cast because they wanted to say that because of hair, they now understood their daughter's generation. And those of you who know her and know us, you can decide whether it worked and lasted or not. But hair, and I am tempted to sing for you, but I won't. She also always talked about her 2 trips to Israel to meet Gideon Hausner. Trips were not to meet Gideon Hausner, but he was the lead prosecutor in the Adolf Eichmann trial in Israel. And while my father Ben never got to go to Israel, Abe did, and he took Mom. She met and had dinner with Mr. and Mrs. Hausner more than once and brought that memory with her. In fact, I remember discussing it with one of my law school professors who said to me, "Wow, your mother just saw history." We also met Beverly Sills, the opera singer. I was with Mom and Abe at the opera, and it was a real treat when the opera was over. Beverly Sills wasn't singing anymore, but she was the director. She came out, and she and Abe were casually discussing their mutual uncle and what he ate at a deli in the Lower East Side back in the 1930s, and she loved that. Finally, with Herman, she sent off a hot air balloon with Herman into the Florida sky, and we can tell you about that another time. But several of the people in this room also remember her joy at the male stripper who also came to that party. She did everything. When dramatic health care was needed, she took care of Abe, she took care of Herman, she took care of our Aunt Pearl, she took care of our Aunt Shirley. She was very loving. And I don't know that you ever get to know your parents the way other people see them, but I had a little glimpse recently. I was lucky, and I'm almost done, but I was very lucky to be pressured into being an art project guinea pig just a few months ago. I reluctantly agreed to be part of a small group of Jewish women who were asked to do an art project about a woman who was an indelible part of their lives. And this project, which is just about done, was going to be archived in a Jewish archive. I can't even tell you which one, but if you come to Atlanta, it's going to be on view for a couple of weeks in May. I am not an artist, and I would direct you past the art project, part of my art project, if you happen to be there. But it was to be accompanied by force by an artist statement. And that was a lot easier for me to do. I showed my mom on FaceTime this project about a month ago. On FaceTime, she and one of her incredible caregivers were with her. Marc was there, and I took the computer and showed this project, which was supposed to be mounted in a handbag, and I managed to do that. And I read her what I wrote. The handbag was a beautiful red sort of tote bag with butterflies all over it for the free spirit that my mother still is. And this is what I read to her. In her now nearly 101 years, my mother has expressed herself beautifully and often in words. Words of poetry, celebrating family events for her family and so many others, with even a brief connection to organized crime. Words of very liberal politics, spoken or written in published letters to the editor. Words of motivation and wisdom, spoken or written to appreciative members of organizations and boards she led. My mom, not mother, mother was our Nana, so we never used the word mother. She had star-catching love, as you keep hearing, but we can't say it enough. 3 loving husbands and a near 4th, and much loss, especially loss of husbands. She was and silently still is a true caregiver, but never more than when my beloved husband Marc lost much, but not all of life to a brain tumor surgery with sad and unpredicted results. As I faced a changed life, caring for my darling Marc, my mom unexpectedly became the sole human being, even among all of you, so many of whom I love and cherish. My mother was the only one who knew exactly what to say to me to keep going. "What do you need?" she asked a few short years ago when she was in far-off Illinois. I was still in Baltimore. "I think I'm fine," I said. "But I wish someone could just hold my hand through all this overwhelming stuff I have to do." More than 90 years old at the time, Anita did not tell me to flee, as I briefly thought she might. Instead, she said this: "I will hold your hand." From far off Illinois, in her silent but knowing space, she still does. The process of honoring my mom with one of her colorful handbags, something full of her life, a foil to her often serious demeanor, ignoring her elegant evening purses that I adore but don't get to use, also quickly became overwhelming. The possibilities, the angles, the curves of her life, through her ages and mine, have pried open hidden compartments, have brought her lights and darks into view in a way I have not before considered, and have brought her into fuller bloom. So this project is a start, a first draft in a handbag. Her writing soft and hearty party poems or commemorative paeans, with all lucky enough to have them, cherishing them and her forever. Her wisdom, her love, her support for me every day. It's harder to represent in a visual mode, but it is still her soul coming alive. It is my first draft. Be like Anita. Honor Anita. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Very good.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful words. You know, there's one prayer that we say every Friday night. We say a prayer for healing. Marc, you've been on our list for a long time to pray for healing. And so, each and every time we gather, we pray for healing of body and healing of spirit. I can still picture Mom at services when she took control of the room, she took control of the house. We offered her a birthday blessing and she beamed with pride. And so we offer a Misha Berach, healing of body and healing of spirit for all who are in need.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishemerach Ivoteinu Mekor HaBracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema. of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim, we praise your God who brings healing to all those in need, and let us say, Amen. Kerry, I invite you to come forward.
Louis Shapiro.
You got this.
Mom died. Mom Anita, Grandma Anita. I've only known my life with my mother. So now what? Mom? My dad, Benjamin Irving Hyman, was only 62 years old when he died. The pain of losing him when he was so young, when I was so young, still stings. How much he missed, how much I loved him. But Mom lived on, tenaciously and bravely, pivoting so often, starting a new life for herself and others over and over again. She remembered that feeling of love and pursued it even years after each heartbreaking loss. Because she remembered. She remembered love, and she remembered how to love. In Judaism, we elevate the importance of memory, the significance of collective remembering. I don't think much of coincidence, but rather than these strange appearances of random connections happening for reasons we may not be able to identify, there's something to those moments. Take the timing of Mom's leaving us. Coincidence? At the end of Passover, during the holiday in which we are commanded to remember, to restate and retell and recall our story, to relate important narratives aloud? Isn't that what Mom has asked us to do right now? And now, thank you, Mom, on every single Passover. We'll remember our journey in Egypt, but now we will also retell and remember stories of Mom, Anita. So now and going forward, I ask you to remember our Anita. Remember Mom when you say I love you to someone you cherish, or when you drink a cup of tea, as she did 3 times almost daily for her whole life. Remember Mom Anita when you eat fresh mint, the only organic plant Mom ever grew and actually used in our lemonade and iced tea growing up. Remember our Mom Anita if you see someone with never colored hair, or who eventually let the pandemic take away her coloring in her hair, like Mom's beautiful white hair that she never, ever dyed. Remember our Mom Anita when you eat candy and red meat and when you don't exercise. How did our mother, pull that off? We still don't understand. Remember our Mom Anita when you hold a baby endearingly and embrace the magic of that moment. And remember our Mom Anita when you feel alone or lonely and then push yourself to change or find a new path or discover new meaning and love in life. Remember our Mom Anita when you vote in every single election, including last year we helped her a little bit, or when you raise money for a worthy cause, or when you throw yourself wholly and genuinely into your volunteer work as she always did. Remember our Mom Anita when you speak out loudly for something about which you believe in strongly, or when you actively help someone and offer kindnesses and generosity. Remember our Mom Anita when you get a manicure or a pedicure, or wear lipstick, even newly applied lipstick. Even like Mom, if you're accompanying your daughter to take the dog for a walk, and it's totally dark outside when no one will see you, and you say, Mom, why bother? And she says, you never know who you might bump into. And by the way, to help you remember Mom, on your way out, There's a little basket. Read the little note on the basket, and you'll see. Remember our mom when you listen to music during a synagogue service? Or when you sing along to an old Broadway musical? Or when you sing in a car, harmonizing with family members like we did when the four of us drove as kids from New York to Florida for vacations? Remember our mom when you go to a restaurant and ask for a different table because the first table just doesn't feel quite right. And with Mom, it might have been the second or the third, but that's okay, Mom. Remember our Mom Anita when you visit New York, or when you hear the expression 24/7, or when you express gratitude for being alive, as Mom did every Thanksgiving when we said, "What are you grateful for?" Remember our Mom Anita, our Grandma Anita, when you say anything of, or see anything of elegance, of grace, of graciousness, of depth. Remember our Mom Anita, our Grandma Anita, every Passover, and some of us will remember her saying, "All right already, when are we going to eat? Get on with it." Remember our Mom Anita at every Shabbat, even just for a minute. Remember our Mom Anita when you love your child, your children, any child, your husband, your wife, your friend, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, like Grandma Anita loved Randy and Marc and Michael and Ben and Norma and Evan and her incredible caregiver, Nila, for whom we say a Misha Berach too. Remember, Mom, just for a minute, just please, remember our Grandma Anita. Remember our Mom. Remember, we always will, but please help us by remembering with us. Thank you.
In the words of the family, Anita was proper, quick-witted, tenacious. She loved the spotlight. She loved shopping. She was spunky. She was feisty. She loved giving gifts. She loved makeup, hairspray, and lipstick. Never a hair out of place. She loved makeup, hairspray, lipstick. She was very smart and philanthropic. She loved to volunteer. She always said, "Be careful. No matter what you are doing, be careful." She was silly and serious, generous and giving, elegant, cranky, incredibly protective, a true New Yorker, yet she loved everyone. She knew how to accessorize. She loved the horses and was quite good and quite a horse racing enthusiast. Running book for Harold Wasserman and the East End Dairy. A very good hostess. She was welcoming. She made people feel at home. She made everyone feel welcome. She was incredibly devoted to her family and friends. She was wildly superstitious. Someone born on the 4th of May, you could truly say, "May the 4th be with you." The 4th was with her, and so was the force. She was devoted to everyone. She loved mashed potatoes. She had beautiful handwriting. The handwriting was impeccable. A skilled writer, a rhymer, a poet. She even had her own business. Those are just some of your words that you shared with me of an amazing woman born over 100 years ago. Born to Claire and Louis, with her sister Myra. She had loving parents, but growing up was always hard. She took the subway to school. She learned the finer things and how to appreciate them. She learned to like high class and high quality even though the family struggled, especially in those early years. I love that she took Myra to the movies, and when she made her sister sit behind her, Myra put bubble gum in her hair. She attended Walton High School. The diploma's right over there. Hunter College for a short time, but quit when she received a bad grade and then started to work with a friend at Brand Oppenheimer Textiles. And that's where she met Benjamin Irving Hyman. He went off to war, serving in France. They dated while he was away. He even won a radio newlywed show for writing the longest love letter during the war, which included many prizes, including a ring that you're still wearing today. They were married in early 1946, right after the war, blessed with 2 beautiful daughters in Randy and Kerry. And she was in her 50s when her first husband, Benjamin, died. Far too young, she thought life was over. And she said that to you over and over again. Yet a few years later, at the Oneg Shabbat at Temple Emmanuel in Long Beach, New York, she met Abe Kaplan and spent 11 wonderful years together with a first date at Slichos services. They divided time between New York and Florida. They traveled to Israel 2 times. Abe also died far too soon, and once again she said her life was over. Then she met her third husband, Herman Cutler, and they shared another 8 years together. She was loved and loved being loved, and loved fiercely others. She found love over and over and over again, and enjoyed life and made people happy. Even meeting Stan here in Chicago, she always found happiness. She always found love wherever she was. And even with several broken hips and a broken femur, that couldn't slow her down. Hurricanes couldn't stop her. An outbreak of Legionnaire's disease when she moved to Brookdale to Chicago for the first time couldn't stop her. Graham Nita was a force. She adored her daughters, her son-in-laws, and especially the grandkids. I love that as a family you chose to celebrate every big birthday, thinking that this could be the last time. So you had a party at 80 and 85 and 90 and 95 and even at 100. And as you said, Randy, one included a stripper. She loved that. One included a surprise from her best friend from New York who flew down. One had a magician. One year you even played Guess Which Husband. She loved that. She was a good sport. In all that you did and in all that she did, she instilled in you a closeness of family between all of you. She received unbelievable care from Neela, who took care of her like she was family, because she was. Of all the things you shared with me, 100 years is an amazing amount of time. But as you said to me, she never missed a meal until Wednesday. She never missed a meal. 3 meals a day. She never missed a meal till Wednesday dinner, and then died 48 hours later. Anita was living proof that if you really want to live to over 100, never exercise, eat only meat and potatoes and a few frankfurters in there, always have dessert at every meal, wear lipstick, live near a beach but never swim, write poems, including for the mafia, eat grapefruit, love music, drink tea, be philanthropic, love multiple men, but most of all, never want to die. just want to keep living. And you too might make it to almost 101. By the way she lived, by the way she taught all of you valuable lessons, like there's never enough time. Be there for people. Love everyone. Be close as family. And as Marc said, and I loved what you said yesterday, have a love for life. Love unconditionally, make everyone feel welcome, make everyone feel at ease. Kerry, you brought us on a journey with you. Almost every Friday, posting a picture of Mamala. You brought us all into her world on a regular basis. Every picture, every post was filled with smiles. Every single picture. And at once you wrote, the heaviness melts into lightness just by being with her. And as I look at these amazing photos, as I look at the incredible comments on Facebook, as I look at the true love of a family to a woman who lived almost 101 years, I'm reminded of the cycle of life, birth and death. Birthdays for Michael today, and funerals for Anita. The first words I said, Le Dor Vador, sum it up beautifully. In a piece of music that she always loved, Le Dor Vador, from generation to generation, we are all part of an unbelievable network of people and stories that we'll continue to tell. And even people that live 101 years will live on for another 100 years or more. Le Dor Vador, as we continue to tell their stories, as we continue to stand on their shoulders to see even further than they saw. May her memory be a blessing. Le Dor Vador, from generation to generation.
Amen. Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador, Nagid Godlecha, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Kedushatcha Nakdish, Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador, Nagid Godlecha, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Kedushatcha Nakdish, Veshivchacha Eloheinu, Mipinu lo yamush leolam vaed, Ki el melech gadol, Ki el melech gadol, Vekadosh ata. Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador, Nagid Godlecha, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Kedushatcha Nakdish, Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador, Nagid Godlecha, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Kedushatcha Nakdish. ish Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Blessed are you, God, the Holy One. Please rise. Only if you're able. Don't worry. Al malei rachamim, shochein bamromim, hamsei menucha nechona, tachat kanfei ashchina. Im kadoshim teharim kazohar harakia mazhirim et nishmat, Anita Ethel Taub, Hyman Kaplan Cutler. Shahalacha lolamo. God, full of compassion, dwelling in the heights and in the depths, grant perfect rest under the wings of your presence to an amazing mother and grandmother, wife, relative, sister, daughter, and friend who has entered eternity. May she find refuge forever under the shadow of God's wings. May her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. We look at the beautiful pictures up here, and we're reminded of the words of Simon and Garfunkel. In a song called Bookends, they wrote, "Time it was, and what a time it was. A time of innocence, a time of confidences. Long ago it must be, I have a photograph. Preserve your memories. They're all that's left you." As you look at these beautiful pictures and photographs, we come to understand that we really are in the business of preserving memories. That's what we do. That's what we need to do. We preserve those memories and they live on, they grow inside of us as we continue to share them. And in doing so, the people that we love live on. Though no longer here physically, they live on spiritually inside of us, with us, helping us, inspiring us. They're woven into the fabric of who we are, and they will never be forgotten. And so we honor Anita with these words of the Kaddish prayer. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, ve'almad divrach hirutei v'yamlich machutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei kol Beit Yisrael, b'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach leolam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nachamata. Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort all who are bereaved among us, and let us say, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
May be seated for a few brief announcements. The interment, as Rabbi mentioned, took place this morning at Waldheim Jewish Cemetery. The Shiva will be observed at the Leaf Residence at 1705 Wincanton Lane in Highland Park today, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And to receive details of this Shiva, the Shiva coordinator's email addresses are on our website. For those of you who joined us online, please take a moment to write a message or record a video, which also can be done online. And the family will remain in the chapel here at the funeral home if you would wish to pay your condolences or take a moment to look at the lovely pictures. And don't forget your lipstick on the way out.
Please rise. Kerry and Randy, I invite you to turn around and look at the community that's gathered here and online. Know that you're not alone, because no one can walk this path alone. You're blessed with so many wonderful family and friends. We're honored that Rabbi Bruce Elder from Congregation Hakafa is here as well. We know that Anita's name will be reverently memorialized here in Chicago, at the temple in Atlanta, where Randy's a member. We know that there's so many people that will help you along this path. And so as you look out into this community and as this community looks to you, I ask everyone here to repeat these words, speaking them to the mourners. I ask you to say after me, may God console you.
May God console you
With all who mourn.
with all who mourn
In Zion and in Jerusalem.
in Zion and in Jerusalem.
May God console you.
May God console you
With all who mourn.
with all who mourn
In Zion and in Jerusalem.
in Zion and in Jerusalem.
Hamakom yenachem etchem, batok sha'ar avilei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you among all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Now go forth in peace to life. Amen.
Amen.
Friends, this concludes the service. Please visit with the family up here. Come up and look at the pictures and grab some lipstick on your way out.